Hey guys, it's New Comic Day, and I'm looking for something rather old this week, actually. I've never bought a facsimile before, but there's one this week that caught my eye of a book that I will never have an original printing of, and that was New Fun Comics #1, the unofficial first DC comic book by Malcom Nicholson. It was his book that he started. It eventually became More Fun Comics that had a bunch of first appearances in there. Aquaman had his first appearance in one. I think Dr. Fate, The Spectre, and then it became Adventure Comics later on, which went for a very long time, probably one of the longest running after Action and Detective, so very important book. First, I want to stop in and visit my friends over at Queen City Bookstore. They had a comic show recently that I was not able to attend, but I was definitely able to flip through some of the books that were left over, including these new 50-cent boxes I hadn't seen, so just gonna flip through those a little bit, and I actually wound up finding one pretty cool book in there. And surprisingly enough, Luke actually bought more comics than me today. They did not have the book that I was looking for at Queen City Bookstore, but there was lots of new stuff to look through, and he showed me some pretty cool stuff, including these coloring books from like the 1960s or 70s. I'll let him talk about those a little bit more.
So, they're kind of neat. I can separate them for you, so let's get the superheroes together. From 1966. Just as Marvel was, their brand was really coming together too.
This one's like pristine.
Yeah, they really are.
This one looks a little dinged up, but
very minor. Take a look at this. Little stickers for the book.
cool.
Look at those ears.
Yeah.
That one seems to be mid-60s.
So this one's a little bit later than that one. 49.
Yeah, I was determining it by the cover price.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be late 60s.
Yeah, it kind of looks like the Batmobile from the show.
Cover has that look too.
Yeah.
Robin must have just got his legs shaved in there. Same three.
1977.
Yep. You know, when the brand was still mostly popular in comic stores, and really not much more than that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Slurpee cups. You heard about the Slurpee cup era. It was the beginning of the end.
Got the shadow. Cool. This one's a little older, it looks like.
It does, doesn't it?
It's 29 cents.
Oh, geez, that's got to be early 60s. Let's see here.
I'll look it up and figure out when it came out.
I would say it's her early 60s. Because the Shadow came back and some other characters from the old radio shows came back around that time.
Mm-hmm.
Doc Savage or something like that.
Very cool.
These are EC reprints from the era. So the 25-year ban on EC Comics came to an end, and and all the publishers rushed to get horror stuff out again.
Why was there a ban on EC?
In the 50s, they were,
Comics
the
code.
government called them to court, and they thought they were, fucking around with the young kids' minds and all that shit. You might have heard about some
Yeah,
of this
seduction of the innocent.
stuff. Seduction of the Innocent was part of it. So these came out in 75 or so. The people who loved it from the 50s went crazy. Well, there you go. Go to their house and whatnot.
And then as we were leaving Queen City Bookstore, we actually spotted this really neat Citizen Kane laser disc from the Criterion Collection.
His performance as Charles Foster Kane mimicked him figuring out, at the beginning where he's figuring out how to run a newspaper company, and he's just excelling at it. And it mirrored him filming the movie.
Yeah.
And the really cool thing about Citizen Kane in the context of movie history is you can always tell if a movie was made before or after this movie because of just the weird camera choices that this movie directly inspired. Like, there's like extras walking over the camera on a sidewalk. This was one of the first movies where they're like, well, if we want to do that, we'll just dig a hole.
Had that like a beautiful, deep, rich focus and everything. Like it was just a crazy film. It's very noirish too. So all the things that they gave you were this is what you get in the whole thing. You get the legacy documentary. You get another feature. A whole bunch of stuff. These companies like. I think this is Criterion, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's early Criterion.
yeah,
And Janus.
1984.
Yep.
Okay.
You see the front here? Yeah, it's Criterion.
Oh wow. Yeah,
That's the company that pioneered all this stuff. So later on, when when DVDs came out, everybody was getting all the commentaries.
Yeah.
It all began with the laser discs, and this is it. I got it in trade from someone. I said, "It's too good to just not put out."
Yeah, right.
You like this kind of stuff?
Oh yeah.
I love old movies.
He actually showed us this box full of laser discs, and we found some really cool ones.
Scarface.
Ooh. Yeah, these are some of our favorite movies. Public Enemy. Oh yeah, that scene right there is iconic. The whole movie.
Yeah, Batman Deadpool sold out nationwide. You were asking for the Red Batman one.
What is that? Right here.
Scarface, that is a fantastic movie. One of the most graphic movies of the time. So Luke picked up a couple books that he needed for his Jeff the Shark collection, but they did not have Jeff number 4 that just came out. But this shop is so good to us, so thank you to Queen City Bookstore, and we headed off to another shop in the area, Gutter Pop Comics. They tend to have a little bit more of the obscure stuff, and I was able to find the new Fun number 1, and this thing is just absolutely huge. And we also were able to find the Jeff the Shark book. And while we were there, Luke pre-ordered a new Junji Ito book that's coming out. That's one of his favorite writers. So we will have to stop in very soon. I think that was October 7th. So we are back home after a successful new comic day. Luke got some new comics, and I got some old comics. Our first stop was at Queen City Bookstore, and they had just put out some 50-cent bins. I was able to find Detective Comics 749. That really cool Jim Gordon cover. Have you seen that one, Luke?
I've not. That's pretty cool, dude. Jim Gordon, he's one of the GOATs, Gotham PD. Greatest of all time in DC Comics. I like him in year one.
Okay. And the next book I got was a new release of a very old comic book. In fact, you might say the first DC comic before it was called DC. I believe there were national periodical publications at the time. Started by Malcom Nicholson. I actually made a video on him. He is kind of the uncredited founder of DC Comics, and unfortunately he was not with the company long enough to see Superman, but he innovated the industry in a way that nobody else has, and his first book, New Fun Comics, which is right here, is huge. I heard that they may have been this big as they were coming out, so that's why they released them like this, but this is a really neat facsimile. I flipped through it and read some of the stories. They're corny, but fun, and why this was so important at the time is because this was the first magazine of its kind to print all original stories. Before that, it was just mainly reprints of news strips, and the Major had a very interesting story, and his legacy still seen in the DC Comics we have today. Very much responsible for bringing Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster into the mix before Superman became. So I am not a reprint collector by any means. I believe this is actually my first facsimile I've ever bought. I think they just release way too many of them, and a lot of them are for books that aren't even that hard to obtain. Like, they did the Hush series. A lot of those are like $5 books, so that was kind of silly. It's really cool that they do it for stuff like this, stuff that I would not actually be able to get a copy of. There are very few copies actually available, and I read a story about how the niece of Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson actually found a copy of this book for sale, the original, and encouraged the people at DC to purchase it and archive it. So that's what they did, and this book was never reprinted until the year 2020. They did a famous first edition, and this year in 2025, this is the second ever release of it, and in this very, very large format. It is definitely too big to fit a treasury bag and board, and seems a little smaller than the giant Batman books, but definitely similar to that, just maybe a little shorter. But
you got to be careful while holding it because it's so incredibly easy to crease the binding. It's just like you pick it up and it just wants to fold over on itself.
Yeah, I'm super happy about this. I flipped through it and read a little bit of it. I read some of the articles, some of the ads that were in there, and it's just an interesting book with a lot of variety, good piece of history, even if some of the stories are a little corny. It's just really great for the history of comics. I approve of it. So if you get the chance to pick this up, I would recommend it. And now I'm going to give Luke the floor to talk about what he picked out today.
All right, now that we got all the unimportant stuff out of the way, you guys came here for one thing and one thing only. And that's Jeff the Shark. Look at this little guy, right? Absolutely love this little maniac. Right here he is with Wolverine. Right, there's number 3. Read that bad boy. All right, and what's this? What comes immediately after that? Whoa, Jeff in a Triceratops costume. Read that. It's absolute literature right here. Unfortunately, he does not actually wear the Triceratops costume in the comic. That's a little disappointing. And also, book number 3 I bought, because I bought more comic books than my wife. Haha. Jeff and other Marvel tales. Tales spelled like tail. Like an animal. So, these are all really cutesy little books, right? They're adorable and I love them. And they're cute, and Jeff the Shark is not to be messed with. He's on a mission. He's hunting his shadow. Do not get in between Jeff the Shark and his shadow. That makes sense if you've read the book. One notable thing, a very famous Marvel team-up move is when the Hulk picks up Wolverine and throws him at the bad guy. It's called a fastball special. Spoiler alert, Jeff Ball special. Jeff gets Wolverine claws. Wolverine throws him at the ninjas, man. They didn't stand a chance. This is peak action right here. And it's going to go well with my collection of Jeff the Shark. So far, I think the only reason I would want to read a Marvel book. Look at that bad boy. Look at that. Look at that. Sexy, I know it, right? My first art germ cover. Jeff the Shark. Look at that. Absolute peak. Got number 2 right there. And then you guys already seen number 3. Number 4, I think this might be, next to the art germ cover, my favorite cover. Look at that. That's just adorable. Right? And other Marvel tales. So we cannot give enough thanks to Queen City Bookstore. Emil is the GOAT. It's always a blast. It's always so charming walking in there and seeing his big goofy face smile and talk to us. He's an absolute, he's a charmer. If you guys are in the Buffalo area, and if you have any interest in comic books at all, you got to stop in and say hello. You can't go wrong. Absolutely love the place. I think that's our favorite comic book store. Gutter Pop and Kingpin are rank up there as well, but we feel most at home at Queen City because they always got us over there. They're really kind to us, and they're always setting up local conventions, and I don't think we can support them enough. So thank you.
Yeah, lately I have been cutting back severely on my new Comic Day pickups, but something like this, something like New Fun #1 is something that really got me excited and got me out to the comic shop today. Because I just love that stuff. We're a sucker for that 1930s, 1940s period, and being such a DC Comics fan, it's just important for me to see how it started, and it's a very charming book, so I would highly recommend just checking it out if you're even remotely interested in DC Comics and you have an appreciation for older media, I guess, the Golden Age comics. I think that would even be before the Golden Age a little bit. I'm pretty happy about it. And Luke's happy because he got Jeff.
I got Jeff the Shark. Rabbit hole, man. He's a shark. He's a dog. Doesn't really act like any of them, but he does act like all of them. I love him.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching, and peace out.